Hey everybody, it's Meredith Miller, your coach from Inner Integration. Today, the topic I have for you is 6 keys to build immunity to narcissistic abuse. So the first key is to unsubscribe from the narcissist reality. The narcissist reality is based on fear and doubt and negativity and total delusion. It's part of the gaslighting where they get you to believe and subscribe to their reality, and they start little by little over time to convince you that their reality is the reality. So the first thing you want to do is unsubscribe from that reality. One thing that really helps me is the mantra, you might have heard me say this before, that is not my reality. So this applies whether you have to deal with this person in person, you have to actually have interactions or on the phone or email, or it could also just be in your mind. Like maybe this person is no longer in your life. They've either moved or you've got no contact, or maybe they're even dead. But you still go in your mind into like this place of rumination and fighting all these battles, and you get swept into their reality and you're defending yourself and you're going down this downward spiral, right? So unsubscribe from their reality, whether you're actually still in this relationship or it's just still going on in your head. Every time you catch yourself going into their reality, that's not my reality. That's how you start to unsubscribe from that. The second key is to own your reality. So this is a combination of self-trust and assertion. The self-trust to know what's your reality, to recognize what's your truth and what is not. What is someone else inviting you into some other reality that's not your truth, not something you want to believe in, not something that you perceive to be real. And the assertion is the confidence in owning that, in standing up for yourself, in owning your reality and trusting your reality. You know, the only way these people get away with abuse and the gaslighting, the whole way that functions is based on the self-doubt of the target. If they can get you to doubt yourself, and they're always going to try this with those little do-do tests early on, they see how much you'll put up with or how much they can manipulate your sense of self-trust. They see how strong and confident your sense of self-trust is or isn't when they test you on stuff. And these might even not be noticeable things. It might be the tiniest little daily sorts of occurrences, but that's exactly how those tests go. And then little by little by little, they go eroding and eroding and eroding at your sense of self-trust until you lose all sense of what's real and you're completely immersed in their reality. So to be immune to narcissistic abuse, you want to own your reality. You want to be confident in your truth. You want to stand up for your truth. You want to speak up for your truth. You don't want to give in to that gaslighting. Number 3 is owning 100% self-responsibility. When you are 100% owning your self-responsibility, the responsibility of your attitudes, your actions, your choices, when you own that, you are empowered. It's impossible for you to be a victim when you own that, because the victimhood, that whole reality paradigm of the victim, is based on powerlessness. It's based on not being in control of your attitudes and actions. It's feeling like you need a rescuer. It's deferring to someone else. It's not owning the responsibility of your choices in every moment. So when you own that, when you recognize that you have a choice to either respond or react to whatever shows up to you in life. This may be the narcissist. You can also apply this to anything else in your life. Crazy situations that might happen, random things that just happen, right? So, if you haven't seen that video that I made on respond versus react, check that out. It's on the homepage of my YouTube channel. Like if you go to the Inner Integration YouTube channel, it's right there. It'll start playing on the homepage. You really want to get that concept, because that is going to up-level your sense of empowerment like nothing else. When you fully own the self-control of how you show up, no matter what's coming at you, because we can't predict what's going to come at us and we can't control what's going to come at us. But we won't get swept into that abuse when we own 100% self-responsibility for our choices and actions, meaning we're not going to give narcissistic supply. We're not going to give that emotional energy that toxic people are looking for by provoking at you until you react in some way that gives them that energy. So when you own your response, you're denying them that supply that retains the power with you. That means you're not giving your power away. I did another video not too long ago on don't give your power away to the narcissist. You might want to check that out if you haven't seen it. You also don't want to step out of your integrity. So if you own 100% of your self-responsibility, you're not going to step out of integrity when someone invites you into that trap. And that's what narcissists do. Toxic people love to get you to compromise your values, to do something outside of what you would do and feel good about who you are when you do it. They'll always make it look tempting and like it's the best choice and it's going to be okay. But then that's how they get you. They're going to take that and they're going to hold that over your head the rest of the relationship that you know that person. They're continually going to beat you up about it. And the worst part is that you're going to know you let yourself down because you and only you stepped out of integrity. You did that by your own free will. You made that choice. Sure, they tempted you. They did a lot of things, smoke and mirrors and everything to get you to do that. But you made that choice, right? So when you are making the choice to own 100% of your self-responsibility, you're going to stay in integrity with yourself. You're going to recognize that invitation to step out of integrity and you're going to say, no way. Because you don't want to feel like that. You don't want to give your power away to anyone else. They will always take those little things where you're not in your integrity and use that against you. So the other thing is you don't get caught in self-defense. When you own 100% of your self-responsibility, you're not going to get caught in the self-defense, which the narcissist loves to do, because by putting you on self-defense, all of your focus is on you and not on them, right? And not on the abuse that's actually taking place and not on the actual problem that's happening. So owning 100% self-responsibility, that is the jump from the victim stage into the survivor stage, from stage 1 into stage 2 of the healing after narcissistic abuse. It's grabbing the reins of your destiny back and owning 100% self-responsibility. The fourth key to developing immunity to narcissistic abuse is to turn your sense of approval inward. So what happens when your sense of approval is turned outward, it's based outward, you're caught in the people pleasing. You're caught in trying to get approval from others by meeting their needs and pleasing them so that they like you and therefore give you approval. That means your sense of approval is totally dependent on other people. It's not a good place to be. You don't want to get caught in there. That's essentially the trap of codependency, as we become used to that. We become trained in that. We learn to sacrifice our own needs to meet the needs of others in order to win that sense of approval. That's what was taught to us since childhood, right? So in order to overcome that, you want to turn that sense of approval inward. You want to give yourself that approval. You want to be willing to not be liked and loved by some people. When you set the line, you draw the line, you give yourself the approval instead of sacrificing your own needs and what's okay for you to please the other person. There's definitely going to be people who don't like that, and that's okay. You have to be willing to not be liked by everybody. And the reality is that this gets a lot easier the more you start to value your health, your sanity, and your well-being. Because the more you value those things, the easier that decision is to just say no to them and to not give them whatever is going to be at the cost of your own well-being, at the cost of your own health, the cost of your own sanity. You're going to value that so much more. It's going to be easy to make the decision to set the boundary to say no so that you can take care of yourself and give yourself that sense of approval instead of seeking it outside of you. The fifth step, the fifth key to building immunity to narcissistic abuse is just saying no. This is about a boundary. This is about opting out of situations and relationships and hanging out with people who don't respect you. Don't sacrifice your self-respect to stay in connection with someone else. If you have to sacrifice your self-respect to stay in connection with that person, what's going to happen is that person's going to disrespect you, and then you're going to get upset and you're going to feel awful and you're going to be in this awful trap with this person because you went against your own self-respect by trying to stay in connection with this person. In other words, you valued the connection over your self-respect. And, the thing is, you got to stand up for yourself. You got to stand up for yourself. When someone says something and does something that's not okay with you, or even it could just be as simple as someone asking you to do something that's not okay. Maybe you're sitting at work and your boss or your coworker, someone comes by and it's like they always know that like Friday at 4 p.m. they can dump that thing on your desk because you're not going to say no and you're going to do it. And you might even stay overtime on Friday and not even get paid for it just to get that thing done. And meanwhile, they're out already starting off their weekend, right? So it could be the little things on a daily basis. It could even be something with your dog. You know, your dog is always asking for your attention and you're trying to get something done. You got to tell your dog, no, not right now. Maybe you're trying to sleep and your dog wants to play with the toy and she's got the toy all up in your face. You got to tell the dog, no. You got to set the limit. You got to say no. So when you learn to say no, that's how you immunize yourself to narcissistic abuse, because it only works when you say yes. That whole devaluation stage, that only started because you saw something, you became aware of something, you started setting a boundary, you started saying no to something. That's when the devaluation started. That wasn't a bad thing. You did the right thing. But what it means is that person is now not getting what they wanted to get from you, which they were getting during the idealization, and are no longer getting, therefore they're now devaluing you. So if the narcissist is devaluing you, you know that you're already starting to step up your boundaries. You're starting to say no. It is so important to honor your self-respect by saying no to what is not okay for you. The sixth key to immunizing yourself against narcissistic abuse is sharing your experiences with others. These are your trusted friends and family members you can go to, and you can share just the daily stuff, the questions you have, the doubts that you have. They're going to help you dispel the doubts. They're going to help you speak the things that you were holding secretive that was eating you alive. They're going to help you to stay out of the denial by talking about stuff. When you talk about it and you get someone else's perspective, you relieve yourself of the isolation that can happen from abuse. So if you're constantly talking to the people in your life about what's going on, you're not going to get caught in that isolated perspective, which is part of the Stockholm syndrome. It's part of what causes the trauma bond. When you don't share that stuff and you keep it all secretive and quiet and you don't tell anybody and you don't get any other perspectives, and all you see is the perspective of the abusive person. So you'll get a reality check from these people by sharing this stuff with them. So these are my 6 keys to developing immunity to narcissistic abuse. When you put these into practice, you're going to see how those people are just repelled from you. They don't want to be around people who have mastered these 6 keys. It's not easy to get what they want. The whole reason they do what they do is to get what they want. It's not fun for them if you don't give it. So if you liked this information, I want to recommend a blog to you. One of my clients put this together. She's been working on this for months. She's going to keep adding more pages to it. It's narcsucks.blogspot.com. I'm going to put the link below in the video description so you can check this out. The whole goal of her blog is developing immunity to narcissistic abuse based on awareness of what it is. So, you know, she's got a lot of these different topics. She's got great summaries of them. She's got resources like videos and books and other things in there to expand, you know, recommending to you to expand on those topics. And then she even takes examples from media, entertainment, TV series, movies. She put little clips on there and explain to you, like in action, this is one of the things that happens in narcissistic abuse. It's a great blog. Please check it out. I'm going to put that link again for you guys below, and I'm sending you all a big hug.